His whole body was shaking. He was praying, "Don't do this to us. I'm pay respect to the dead body. I'm scared, scared, scared."
The destruction and death seen across Myanmar since the military coup has left many adults traumatized. Imagine how much more difficult it is for children to cope. Save the Children estimated that almost 40% of those displaced by conflict in Myanmar are children. And even in urban areas, children are not protected from violence. Hello and welcome to Dawei, a weekly podcast that brings you human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Fondation Hirondelle. This episode is produced by journalists from our partner media, Dawei Watch. The names of some people in the story have been changed for security reasons. Five-year-old Maung Pyu Pui had his little world shattered one day in April last year, when his father was beaten and arrested in front of him. His mother, Dawei, recounted the incident to Dawei.
My son saw his father being violently arrested while they were sitting outside the hall. He said, "My husband hand-waved child with handcuffs and he was beaten by the junta soldiers."
Maung Pyu Pui's father, Zozo, is a journalist and was charged and sentenced to 2 years in prison under Section 505A of the Penal Code. He was imprisoned in Myek jail and spent 5 months there before his early release. Dawei said her son cried a lot during this time.
My son said that he missed his father almost every day. He has a trauma of missing his father. If he saw other family riding motorcycle, my son said he would like to go on such motorcycle ride with his father.
There are many children like Maung Pyu Pui who have been traumatized by the violence they have seen and experienced since the military coup. At least 237 children have been killed in the conflict, according to the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners. In a horrific recent incident, at least 7 children died when the junta launched an airstrike on a school in Letyek Gon village in Sagaing Region's Dipayin township. The death of these children caused outrage in the international community. International humanitarian law gives children protection as civilians and special protection for being particularly vulnerable. But Myanmar children continue to be exposed to violence and horror. 5-year-old Maung Gaung saw his relatives hit by an explosion right in front of him in Tanithari region's Launglong township last September. A teenage girl was killed and an elderly woman died later. The bomb blast was reportedly targeted at a ward administrator. Maung Gaung's mother, Daw Pyu Thi, described the reaction of her son.
On that day, when I saw him, I held him in my arms. He was trembling. I was telling him in tears, "Don't worry, my son, I'm here by your side." His whole body was shaking. He was praying, "Don't do this to us. I'm pay respect to the dead body. I'm scared, scared, scared." I couldn't understand what he was going through. Absolutely not.
There have been other child casualties and witnesses of PDF attacks on alleged military informers or supporters. In Launglong Township alone, 3 children have died in 3 resistance attacks, including this one. Hain Tet, a member of Launglong People's Administration, said he always urges People's Defence Forces to abide by rules and policies established by the National Unity Government for the protection of children.
We have experienced such events in Longlong Township, especially the death of children. In such situations, we urge the relevant anti-regime forces to take responsibility for such attacks. We urge the respective resistance groups to apologize to the families concerned if children are killed in some incidents, although it is not an intentional attack on children.
He conceded that there are currently no legal mechanisms to take action against PDF troops when rules are not followed, But he said that records are being taken. Peacock military operation is one PDF force involved in attacks on military targets in Dawei township. Comrade Dawei says strict precautions are taken when planning any mission to ensure that vulnerable groups such as children, pregnant women and the disabled are not harmed accidentally.
Children are the futures of the country, so for ethical reason, I will ask the resistant foes not to harm children at all if they carry out attacks on military targets. Children are the one we have to take care of. I condemn the armed groups that attack children.
Children in conflict zones who have lost family and been forced to flee their homes are particularly at risk of being traumatized. Mieta Alin Orphanage in Dawei Township was relocated in April because of fear they would be hit by artillery shells. There are about 30 children there now, and one of the teachers said they've all been traumatized amid the sound of gunfire and explosions.
One of the children had a heart attack and is currently getting medical treatment. Another child has a seizure, but when I sent them to the clinic to see a doctor, they felt slightly better. Also, one of the little girls gets scared when people talk loudly and even cries when she hears the gunfire sound. She needs to be with an adult when it happens. She says, I'm scared, and her hands and feet get cold.
Psychologists say that conflict and violence can have an enduring impact on children. They might be exposed to a sudden traumatic event, or they might suffer long-term repeated exposure to traumatic incidents. An expert on psychology told Dawei what the impact can be on children.
First of all, children become depressed. Secondly, they don't trust others anymore. And thirdly, they become very anxious about the future. Those are a big problem. Small children can no longer adapt to their environment.
The mother of 5-year-old Mao Ganggang, whose family members were hit by an explosion, said children should not be exposed to these horrors.
I want to say that I don't want children to be hurt by such trauma. We don't want anyone to get hurt like we did. As for my son, he still hasn't been able to forget what he experienced. I want to say that I don't want any more such incidents to happen in front of any children.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Dawei. You can listen to our podcast via the Dawei Facebook page or the Frontier Myanmar Facebook page. The project to support human rights reporting is delivered by Fondation Hirondelle and is made with the support of our donors.